U.S. troops to Eastern Europe, but stressing these troops will not be going to fight in Ukraine. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, who serves on the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee. She just returned from a trip to Ukraine as part of a bipartisan delegation. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining me. Let's start with this breaking news. What is your reaction to the Pentagon's announcement today? Is this the right time to send in more troops?
So I believe that it's fairly consistent with what I saw when I was on the ground. We were able to visit with both NATO and EU allies. We were also able to go into Ukraine and visit with the Ukrainian administration and the president. And what I heard as part of that trip was that EU and NATO are very much united, but there is a understandable concern that so goes Ukraine, so the rest of the eastern part of that area also might go, and so frankly could the European continent. So I think that this is most likely the right thing to do for our president to be making sure that we're calming rather than provoking the incidents even further.
The president of Ukraine wants the U.S. to go even further. They want to see some sanctions now. Not all of them, but some sanctions. Should Vladimir Putin be feeling more pain right now? Do you want to see sanctions right now?
So I was able to sit as part of this bipartisan delegation with President Zelensky, and he did indeed ask for sanctions to be happening right now. Good people can absolutely disagree on what the right path is, but what I believe and what I learned in the conversations that we had as a delegation is that it most likely is the best path to work in unison with our European allies and with the EU and NATO. And the idea there is not to move forward unless there is a provocative measure, some sort of triggering mechanism. And at this point in time, we have not seen that triggering mechanism, nor frankly have we defined what that means to all of us.
I want to ask you about an opinion piece that you wrote in The Hill in conjunction with Republican Congressman Mark Green. It is titled, "Ukrainian Democracy is Under Threat, Why Every American Should Care." Talk about why you wanted to write this with your Republican counterpart and why Americans should care so much about what's happening in Ukraine right now.
And thanks for asking about that. It really is an important statement that we can make in this particularly divided time in this country when a Democrat and a Republican and a bipartisan delegation can go overseas and come back with the same conclusion. We as Americans very much need to care about what happens in Ukraine. They are the tip of the democratic spear. We have seen this play before in the past century, and we know that there is a vulnerability there in Ukraine that if they tip, so does the rest of that area. And